Hi, this is MIcornus Phokane, the leader and the founder of the Young Men Empowerment Forum. We are speaking about skills that you don't learn from school, but life will demand that from you every day. Life demands some skills from us that it doesn't care whether you've learned them from schools or not. Schools may not afford you that. And we got people actually that are from school. Some have got master's degrees, some are having PhDs, but they're lacking this type of skills. But you may have these skills even when you're not from school. Therefore, you will succeed in life because life demands these skills from you. And I want to speak about this because these are very important skills that one needs to have, because if you are to maneuver life, you are to navigate your life, yourself in life, you need to have these skills in your life. And majority of the people that have these skills, they succeed in life. And sometimes we wonder, why does he succeed? Because he has not been to school, he's not educated and so on. It's not by education that you adopt or develop these skills. They are very key, but you don't develop them at school. Now today we want to speak about habits and discipline. And I want us to speak about this because these are skills that one has and the skills that you can develop, but you don't develop them at school. And remember what habits are. Habits are things that you do consistently that are building actually some shape of your character in your life. We've spoken about character in the past, but I want to emphasize that habits, when they are done consistently, the things that you do every day, the things that you're fond of doing, and as you do them, they build what we call a personality, and that personality actually grow into what we call your character. And your character actually will actually decide whether you've got integrity or not. Because when you got integrity, that's when we speak about discipline. And I want us to understand then that discipline then comes out of proper habits, building habits. And this is the job that generally you find parents yearning to do with their children. Now, parents are desiring to see their kids developing a character that is desirable in future, a character that is actually shaped up in a way that the parents will be proud of. But you don't build a character as a parent. What you're doing is you build a character through building habits. So the only way that parents can do is to instill some habits in their children, the habits that will be done consistently by the children, and hoping from the parents that those habits will come to a point where they are actually inherent in the child, to an extent that the child will find that automatic actions that they do that will build their personality, as we've said, and their personality will be of a good character, and that will actually also come up to build what we call integrity, and that integrity will actually make you to be having discipline in your life. Now remember, this is very important. Now habits are things that are taught. Sometimes they are learned from seeing others doing them. This is the reason why we want to emphasize on this platform that as parents, if you are listening to us, it is very important that in the family, you start to have good habits. Because good habits from the parents and from the siblings, good habits from individuals in the family are being actually copied by the developing young babies in the house. And the young people in the house, or the children in the house, they learn from what they see in the family. Let's give an example. If the family has got habits of drinking alcohol every day in their life, and you get a young child growing out of this family, the likelihood is that this child is going to grow actually drinking alcohol, because these are the habits in the family. So this is very important, therefore, because it actually helps that a parent cannot confess actually things without professing them. So you cannot teach by talking. You can only teach by behavioral patterns of your life, whereby you live certain habits that you want your children to copy from and become you through the habits that you do. And this is very important for parents. And I hope that as parents, you are listening to us, you are learning from this, that children do that which they see their parents doing. So therefore, these are the habits that are done in the family. So therefore, it is very important that as parents we check what habits do we do in the family. And I've actually said this, that we have instilled habits of praying every day in the family. We make sure that we have a family prayer because that's the habits that we want to instill upon our children. So therefore, prayer then will not be strange for the children when they grow, when they know that the habit of praying has been instilled in them. So these are very important. And I want you to understand that success is not an event in life. Success comes out of a habit. So in other words, when you've got habits that are building success, you're not going to see it strange for you to be successful. You're not going to be surprised. You're not going to see it coming through osmosis. And this is very important that we emphasize. That success is not an event. It's not something that will happen just now and pop out just from nowhere. It will come because of consistent habits. So habits then must be a conscious way of doing things. You must have a certain way of doing things, behavioral patterns that are forming habits in your life. And that is something that will develop success out of your life. Remember, as I said, the people that you see as role model is because they've got certain habits that you admire in them. There are certain habits that you like from them. And I want us to emphasize that when there are certain habits that people do and you like them, they are actually going to become something that becomes habits in you and they can bring success in you. But I want us to understand that discipline then comes out of whether your character is a character of integrity or non-integrity. Because if your life has got integrity, therefore, you will have discipline. You'll be able to say no to no and yes to yes because of the integrity that developed from the habits that you grew up with. Very important. And I hope that is well understood. Now, how to build good habits is very important. As I said, good habits is consistent doing of right things and whether people see you or not. And you consistently do that and develop that habit, and that is very key. And as I've said also, that the family contributes a lot in the habits that they do. And we have seen that when you've got good habits, you are actually influential to other people that may not have good habits. And they will start to actually learn from you because they see how your life is being fashioned and they see how your life is being directed. And because of that, they desire that and they want to do the same habits that you do. How to break bad habits is actually intentional as well because it's not easy to break bad habits unless if you are conscious and you are actually very, very intentional about it. Let's give an example. People that are having habits of smoking, you must first of all understand the detriment of smoking. You must understand that. You must understand then the dangers of that particular habit. Well, when you start to understand the dangers of that particular habit, you must come up with the mind of saying, how do I want to become? I want to become a better person. I want to avoid this particular harm that is coming my way. And you must see now weighing actually the pros and cons, and you find that if the pros are actually more than the cons in this regard, you're going to be likely to be motivated in being able to break the habit. Because majority of the people is that the consequences that people see in a certain habit, if they don't understand the dangers and how serious that consequences are, people may not change. But we are saying that you need to also see the consequences, how dire they are. Because the more dire the consequences are, and you are aware that there are dire consequences, that might motivate you to change those particular habits and actually direct your life to better patterns. And that will instill discipline in you, and you'll be able to say no to no and yes to yes. Remember that some of the habits, we learn them from our friends and we do them together with our friends. We go to places with our friends and we project certain habits. And we want to emphasize on this platform that those particular habits that you do because of your friends, when the consequences come, they're not going to your friends, they come into you. And when you start to see that detriment of those consequences coming directly to your door, you are going to be able to start thinking consciously and becoming actually more intentional about it and say, do I want to find myself in these consequences at all times? If the answer is no, then you must work out your life. You must make sure that you deal with those particular habits, and that is coming through what we call discipline. Discipline is not coming, obviously, automatically in your life. It's not coming through osmosis. We have said that, but it definitely will come when you are consistently doing certain habits that are good and you shun the habits that are bad in your life. So the power of discipline, and it comes up with what we call consistency. Remember that it's not discipline until you do it consistently. So you may say no to a certain behavior. You may say no to a certain habit. But if you've done it once, but you continuously do it again, that's the consistency that is necessary. Because when you've got the consistency that is necessary, you are going to develop then your character into a disciplined individual. Majority of us is because why we fail is because we try discipline without consistency. We want to discipline ourselves. Hence, you find somebody says, no, I was smoking 40 cigarettes and I'm now smoking about 35. And I'm happy because I've reduced. But the more you do it consistently and reduce it down to 30, to 25, to 20, to 10, and eventually 5, and therefore stop, that's when we talk about discipline. And then discipline also will go further to say, after you've stopped, are you not free? Because are you not occasionally going back? If you are not, then that's the right discipline that we're talking about. You cannot be taught this at school. It's something that you need to develop in your life, but consciously so. And as I've said that, if you're not intentional and conscious, these things don't come by osmosis in your life. And you are not taught at school, so therefore, you cannot say, I will go to school to be taught habits and discipline. We want to end up here today. Your host, MIcornus Phokane. Remember, we are Young Men Empowerment Forum, whereby we're developing ordinary young men into extraordinary men of wisdom, integrity, and character. And we do this through kingdom principles. Remember, our social media platforms, our Facebook page is Young Men Empowerment Forum. My personal Facebook page, MIcornus Phokane. So please like those pages, follow us on there. Remember our YouTube channel as well under Young Men Empowerment Forum. We would love to urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So please share that with your loved ones. Click notification buttons as well. Make sure that you follow us on our TikTok account under MIcornus Phokane, our Instagram under MIcornus Phokane as well. So these are great lessons that you learn. And you may not be taught at school with this, but very important that you know. And I hope that you learned out of this. And we will go to part 4 tomorrow of this great topic, and I hope you join us there. May the good Lord bless you and allow us to check out right now and say cheers for now.